Welcome everyone to Transfer Weekly, this episode number 8. What a show we have coming up for you as well. This perhaps our busiest show ever. 6 FIA Formula 2 announcements to go through, 3 in FIA Formula 3 as well, and we have a FRECA announcement also. So for this massive episode where we've had almost every single team in Formula 2 making announcements, we had to bring in a special guest for this one. We welcome the voice of Formula 2 himself and broadcast sport commentator of the year for 2022. Alex Jacques, thank you very much for joining us. Great to have you on the show. Are you enjoying the winter so far? I'm sure it's been a good break for you, but yeah, as you can see by all these announcements, it's going to be a busy season, isn't it?
It's going to be a very busy season. Number one, thank you for having me. Number two, it was a lovely break until you interrupted it, Chris McCarthy. So, but no, delighted to be here. And as you say, we have, I would have said yes to your kind invite anyway, but we have chosen a wonderful week for it. And yeah, the grid taking shape.
Well, also joining me and Alex is our F4 UAE editor, George Brabner. George, I know it's been a busy start to the year. Unlike Formula 2, F4 kicks off over in the UAE very, very early in the season, and over 40 drivers competing over there in the opening round. How's it been so far for yourself?
Yeah, great start. Amazing beginning to the season. Lots of good stories with rookies as well. Definitely going to be great to watch as that unfolds, but also as a taste, I guess, to see what the rest of the F4 year will look like, and in years to come, F3, F2, all of that. So it's been a lot of fun, and I expect a lot more good things as the year goes on.
Well, we have a lot to get through, so let's get straight into the transfer, shall we? Let's start with ART Grand Prix. They made their announcement at the end of the week by confirming that Théo Pourchaire will be returning for his third season in FIA Formula 2. He is, of course, the reigning vice champion, having taken 3 wins and 7 podiums last year. Also a reserve driver for the Alfa Romeo F1 team. So there was some speculation, Alex, that was he going to make the jump up? It's now been confirmed. He's going back, staying at F2. Is this going to be his season, do we think? Very good for ART to keep him there for another season.
There was a lot of speculation about where Théo was going to go. So much speculation that Théo didn't know where he was going to go. So there was a lot to be decided over the winter. I find it really intriguing that they've decided to keep him in Formula 2. As you say, runner-up last year, and I never like being harsh when talking about F2, but he was a distant runner-up. It was not a close title battle. He now faces almost the task, given that he's going into a third season, of doing what he had done to him. A very prominent journalist yesterday texted me saying he needs to do a Van Dorn. And what they meant by that is they need to come back and they need to blow the rest of the field away. Otherwise, you get lumped with this unfair tag of, third year. So the bar was high last year. He had a few unfortunate moments. Obviously, the dominant champions that we've seen come through in recent years, a lot of rookie champions in recent years, means that sometimes we lose a little bit of perspective about what a good performance is. But he now has an enormous bar to clear. Otherwise, the naysayers will shout third year from the rooftop.
I mean, that's a good point to make. But do you think almost if you fall just short, that can sometimes be a little bit more frustrating? Having, as you said, he did finish second. He was quite a few points back. Do you think that's made him even more determined, more hungry going into this season?
I think he will be incredibly hungry. I mean, if you look at the way that he's a really interesting character because he's a very positive person, a lot of emotions clearly displayed. But I think that the pressure told on him at the start of the year. We've seen this with really strong drivers. Suddenly you go from being a rookie and it's all exciting, it's all upbeat and it's all okay. And then everything is a bonus if you do well. If you win early, it's fantastic. You build momentum. And then the next year you come back and all the pressure is on you. And there is no and of course it's brand new pressure because you're getting to the Grand Prix weekend. You're the race just before or just after Formula One qualifying or the Grand Prix. It's different scrutiny. You'll get major motorsport publications featuring you as the next big thing. And sometimes a little bit of bad luck can really derail a season. We didn't just see that with Porsche. We saw that with Dennis Hauger as well. So, lot to prove. Great to have him back. Fantastic. You always want the talented drivers there, but I feel that every year in the opening moments of a practice session in Bahrain, in the opening round, I say there's going to be a great driver that finishes 10th, but Théo Pourchaire knows that only the title will do if he's to maintain his dream of going to Formula One, I think, or if he lost out by a couple of points. But he's got to have a consistent winning season and display to Formula One team bosses he's a more complete driver.
I mean, you mentioned Dennis Hauger there. Those two, he's going to be at MP. Those two have gone toe-to-toe before. He was the ADA CF4 champion, Teo, back in 2019, beating Dennis by 7 points. Will we get a similar battle this year, I wonder? Well, we're going to stay at ART. The French team have an all-French driver lineup for this season because at the end of last week, they also confirmed that reigning FIA Formula 3 champion Victor Martins is going to be making the step up with them to FIA Formula 2. He, of course, won the championship with ART last year, taking 2 wins and 6 podiums. And he also won the Formula Renault Eurocup title with the team as well back in 2020. A member of the Alpine Academy as well. So already those teams looking down at Victor Martins. Alex, you would have watched Victor when you were commentating on F3 back in 2020. I mean, what do you make? He's always been a very quick driver, hasn't he? A driver that can get used to a car in a championship incredibly quickly. When he was in F3, he finished 5th straight away. Euro Cup, he was doing similar things. So do you think we're going to see Victor getting up to speed really quickly in F2?
I think so. I mean, he's been fast, as you say, he's been fast in everything he's raced in. It will be interesting to see. It's quite an interesting dynamic with him being the teammate to Porsche. But no, I rate him really highly, and so do Alpine. He's a fantastic prospect. I think the most impressive thing about his title win last year in Formula 3 is that he kept his head. There were so many, it was like a brawl for the title, wasn't it? There were so many drivers involved. It would have been very easy if you to turn a 5th place into a bad next race, into a bad next round, and so many double headers, such a lot of racing packed in. It reminded me a lot of Esteban Ocon's GP3 year when he did his winning at the start and he was like, right, I'm in full championship management mode. I'm just going to do what I need to do. And when you take that approach, you've got to make every single race work. And on the whole, he did. I thought it was a very, very impressive season for him. And I think he's a guaranteed race winner in Formula 2.
Yeah, it was nice as well. He dedicated that title to Antoine Hubert as well, a friend of his and his countryman, of course. So a very nice way for him to end his season. We'll see how those two get on. It's going to make a very interesting partnership over at ART in FIA Formula 2. Right, we're going to give Alex a little bit of a break. We're going to move from FIA Formula 2 to Formula 3 because Carlin announced another driver for their season. They confirmed that Ollie Gray is going to be staying with them. He's going to be moving up from British F4 to race in FIA Formula 3 this season. He's, of course, the reigning vice champion. This is only going to be his 3rd season in single-seaters. George, I want to come to you for this. I mean, I'm personally very excited about this. Usually, people leave Carlin from British F4, go and do something like FRECA or Italian F4, then come back to them in F3. They're taking Ollie straight into F3. So clearly, they have a lot of faith in him.
Yeah, I think it's a really interesting case. You don't get that many drivers that skip straight from Formula 4 up to FIA F3, and he is one of those exceptions. There's good options, especially in the UK. You've got GP3, which could be a good place for him to go, but part of the Williams Driver Academy, he's got the linearity, I guess, with Carlin. I guess that all gives me a level of comfort, right, that you can still perform despite missing that step on the ladder.
Yeah, he essentially replaces the place of Zach O'Sullivan, who was, of course, Williams Academy as well. Ollie catching the attention of Williams, and he replaces that seat, if you like, a British Williams driver racing over at Carlin. Right, let's stay with Carlin now and move up to FIA Formula 2 once more. They confirmed their driver lineup last week with 2 Red Bull Juniors. Let's start with the driver who's going to be staying in the championship, and that is Enzo Fittipaldi. He's going to be moving across from the Charouz team to Carlin for his second full season. He finished 8th in the championship last year with 6 podiums and is now part of the Red Bull junior team. Alex, what did you make of Enzo last season? I mean, he did very well in that Charouz car, sometimes outperforming it.
I think he was the surprise of the season. On the F2 grid, I thought he did incredibly well. A little bit of surname pressure there, and a driver who got good early results, and they were able to focus on what he was good at, and they were able to lift the pressure off him. They said, listen, just try and get yourself in the mix for sprint races, and lifting the pressure off the feature. Saw him put together some wonderful drives. When he was in Formula 3, I felt like he did a ton of overtaking, then something would go wrong and he'd finish 15th. And sometimes it was his fault, sometimes it wasn't his fault, but he never really got the results that he deserved. And then he turned up in Formula 2, had a horrible accident, comes back from that horrible accident. He's still limping from that horrible accident, by the way. But when he's in the car, he suddenly got all of the racing fortune that he hadn't got in Formula 3. So he was one of the stars of the season. And now the question for him is, can you take that next step in your development? Can you find that next, can you tighten qualifying up, delivering consistently? Can you perform consistently inside the top 5, which is what a driver with that team and with that program is going to be expected to do?
Yeah, I mean, he was an Italian F4 champion and a FREC vice champion when he raced with Prema back in the day. But as you said, Enzo since then has been fighting within the midfield, 8th last year. Not only has he got that surname pressure now, Alex, but he's also, of course, got the pressure of being from Brazil as well, given what we saw last season. So do you think he can live up to that with, I know a lot more fans going to be tuning in from there?
It's a little bit of a Toya chair question, isn't it? One thing in your rookie season to get results when maybe you're not fancied, another thing to deliver with the pressure. We'll find out a lot in the early races about how far Enzo Fittipaldi is going to go.
Right, let's move to his teammate then. This is going to be another debutant in FIA Formula 2, and that is going to be reigning FIA Formula 3 vice champion. It is, of course, the boy from Barbados, Zane Maloney. He is going to be making the step up and returning to Carlin, who he won the British F4 title with back in 2019. He raced with them for 2 seasons doing Euro Formula Open as well. Took 3 wins, 4 podiums last year, had a real late charge, fell just short of winning the title as well. Alex, he's another driver that signed for the Red Bull Junior team as well. He's also a reserve driver for the Formula 1 team. So this is a very exciting partnership, isn't it, Zane Maloney? And he's got a lot of support back in Barbados and has grown a whole motorsport culture back there that never existed before.
I think you could have done a supercut of everyone describing him as the boy from Barbados last year, and I think it would have lasted a very long time. It's a really intriguing one. This, everyone likes a driver who goes on a late charge. He went on a mighty late charge, and who knows if we got a restart, how it would have all panned out. But yeah, superb end to the season. Comes into Formula 2 with a lot of momentum. Obviously had those rounds at the end of the year to get up to speed, effectively a systems check and a bit of testing as well. And now, great team. A team in Carlin that give you such a good baseline setup to start the weekend. We've seen that in the past with Yuki Tsunoda was able to exploit that really, really well as a rookie. And that's what Zane Maloney's trying to do as well with the same team.
Yeah, you mentioned, of course, he jumped in for Trident at the last round there. I mean, myself included, I thought Carlin, that this was their year last season. This year, do you think this could be another year where they could really go on a title charge? They've got a driver who's got experience in FIA Formula 2, one that's had a race under his belt now, and a vice champion in F3 and experience with the team as well. Do you think this is a real good match with these two?
Yeah, I think they've got 2 very evenly matched drivers. You've got slightly different, you've got a driver stepping up to second year. You've got Zane Maloney with almost without the pressure, but knowing what a great rookie season can do. Carlin have proven they're always in the mix. They're always going to give you a car that's going to win races. So they've got the opportunity. They're proven winners. And they will tell you directly at that team, but they will know their stuff inside out. And great place to go racing. And they've got two strong drivers.
And they've just taken a driver to F1, of course, in Logan Sargent. So very, very exciting for Enzo Fittipaldi and Zane Maloney fans. Right, let's move from Carlin over to high tech. We're going to start this one down in FIA Formula 3 before going to Formula 2 because they announced 3 drivers this week. Let's start down in FIA Formula 3 where they confirmed that Sebastian Montoya is going to be joining the team. He makes the step up from FRECA, where he took 5 rookie wins last year. He did jump in for a round in F3 at Zandvoort, where he got 2 8th places with Carlin. He, another driver who has joined the Red Bull Junior team. George, this is a real good signing for high tech, isn't it? They've got a driver who's proven he can get straight in and score points in F3. So now they've got him for a full season with that support of Red Bull. Sebastian Montoya is going to be a one to watch going into this year.
Yeah, I'm excited to see what he can do alongside Gabriele Mini, of course, as well at high tech, who was vice champion in FRECA last year. Yeah, Primo, that's who he raced with in FRECA last year. 3rd highest rookie as well. So not at all, a bad season. 5 rookie wins, as you say. But yeah, the debut he did make with in F3, but with Campos, I think I hope showed a sign of what's to come. Able to jump in that car quickly, adapt, and ultimately put in I think probably some of the best results he could in that situation, and some highlights for the team as well. Also currently in the UAE, racing in Formula Regional Middle East. He's already I think with high tech, it means that whilst it's not the car that he'll be racing with or racing in the coming year, it just gives him time to adapt and get settled in with the team, the environment, and whilst he could adapt quick at Campos for Zandvoort, over a full season you have to make sure you don't fall apart, and that you can keep that consistency. And I think interesting to watch, and a new member of the Red Bull Junior team as well. That's all the kind of the boost that he would need, and that I guess he would hope for before making the jump up to F3.
Yeah, high tech. That's not the only driver they've got over there that's going to be racing in the F1 support paddock this season. We'll come on to him shortly. We're going to stay with high tech now and jump back up to FIA Formula 2. They announced both their drivers for this season last week. Let's start then with the driver who's going to be coming up from FRECA. He had a fantastic season. Jumping up from FIA Formula 3, he had a fantastic season last year, finishing in 4th place. That is, of course, Isaac Hajar, the Red Bull Junior, taking 3 wins, 5 podiums, 5th in FRECA the season before as well, where he was rookie champion. So Isaac Hajar, Alex, is really on a charge here and a very exciting addition to the Formula 2 paddock.
He is. And I was really impressed with what he was able to put together. Obviously, a little bit of heartbreak for him in that final round in Monza. But that's the nature of junior motor racing. That's the nature of climbing the ladder. They're not the finished article. When he has been performing, he's been outstanding. And when it works him, really, really impressed. So, again, another exciting name. There are so many. Feels like we're getting a new wave, a new generation coming through. With drivers like Hajar, and excited to see if he can make that step up, and excited to see whether high tech is again proven winners. Almost every team on the grid are going to give you the machinery to consistently fight, certainly for sprint races. So really, really excited to see how he does, because I think I don't want to classify it as maybe form at the start of the year was a bit of a surprise, but I'm looking at the table here of the Formula 3 Championship last year, that 4th place feels a little bit unfair given the level of his performances.
Yeah, he was leading the championship at one stage. It was Spa, really, where it started to fall away after the qualifying performance he had there, having to come through from the back of the grid. But I can tell you, getting to know him in FRECA, he's someone, when he finishes 2nd, he's very disappointed. So he's going to be a very exciting...
he's a driver then. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, right. I guess they all are, but he in particular. So I'm very excited to see how he gets on. Now, he's going to have a fellow Red Bull Junior in with him at High Tech in FIA Formula 2. It's going to be another driver making the jump up from FIA Formula 3, and that is going to be Jack Crawford. The American makes the step up, having having taken a few podiums, took a win last year and a few podiums. Jack Crawford finished 7th overall, so not the best of seasons for him. Had a bit of misfortune along the way, though. But Jack Crawford jumps up to FIA Formula 2, where, of course, Logan Sargent was last season and now moves to F1. So as a young American driver, Alex, he'll want to go and follow in his footsteps, no doubt.
He will. And you might look at that 7th place and go, well, that should have been a bit better. I always go back to the example of Yuki Tsunoda. You can change things very, very quickly if you're part of that Red Bull program. If you perform, you can turn the narrative around very, very quickly. And people will forget about what you couldn't do in Formula 3 if you can find your way to the podium consistently and challenge for wins in Formula 2. So he has a lot of opportunity. He's got a very fast rookie teammate. So it means that the team are aiming it at 2 rookies. You're not having to deal with one side of the team, having to deal with an experienced driver. 2 rookies, understanding they can be direct. Very important for the drivers when they step up to Formula 2 to be very, very clear and precise about what they don't like with the car and what they do need from the car. And if he's able to take the lessons of what didn't work last year, apply them to Formula 2, you could see a driver with a totally different season. Just because he was 7th last year doesn't mean you can write him off.
Yeah, he raced with Prema last year, but the year before raced with High Tech as well. So he's got experience with the team, racing over in the Middle East at the moment as well. So getting back used to being with the team there. Another Red Bull Junior, 2 Red Bull Juniors at High Tech. There's quite a lot as we've gone through there. We've just gone through, I think, 4 within those last 6, Alex. It's going to be a little bit difficult for you trying to pick them apart, I think.
It's always difficult. They've been chucking them all in. It's like when you get back from a holiday and you put all your clothes in the washing machine. That is Red Bull's approach with their junior drivers in Formula 2. Doesn't matter if there's a red sock in there with the white. You just throw it all in there and you find out. And what happens is you do get surprises. Helmut Marko doesn't have any surprise customers these days, does he? He demands that you perform. He doesn't want to hear mitigating circumstances. He doesn't want to hear nuance. You perform, you go up. You don't perform, you go to the exit. It divides people. I know it divides people, this approach, but it is clearly displayed on the logo. You know what you're getting, and there's a big opportunity. There's a direct pathway up the ladder all the way to Formula 1 and the brilliant AlphaTauri team if you perform. And as a result, they give a lot of backing to drivers. They make them part of the program, and for 5 of them, they're going to be disappointed.
Well, that's it for FIA Formula 2. We're going to have to move pretty quickly now, but we're going to tidy up our last FIA Formula 3 announcement from last week. And that came over at Campos, where they confirmed that the driver who raced with them in Spanish F4 last year and finished as vice champion, Hugh Barter, the Australian-Japanese driver, is going to be jumping up to FIA Formula 3 with them. He was vice champion in Spanish F4 and French F4 as well. Quite the season for him, and finished 3rd in the final session of post-season testing at Jerez. So Georgia, very good end to the season for him. Brilliant season overall, but that test in particular will give him confidence.
Yeah, definitely. I think it kind of hurts me to see the 2 second places that he's got right in French and Spanish F4, because he had the potential to get those championships. Runner-up in French F4 in 2021, go into the series again for 2022, looking for that championship, right? But in Spanish F4, Nikola Tosolov, who kind of dominated that season, a difficult man to beat for sure. And then in French F4, the non-scoring rounds that he had, because I think at Valencia and Spa, because he'd already raced there before, it put him on the back foot, and ultimately meant that despite picking up wins of those races, didn't get the points for it, which it kind of almost feels unfair for him, because I think there was potential to leave 2022 as a double champion. But that kind of gives me the confidence that skipping regional level is not a terrible move for him to go, straight to F3. That's of the people to do it. Having those results are definitely what gives me the confidence that he won't drown.
And let's now move to FRECA. It breaks my heart to say it, but we're going to have to keep this one pretty quick. Nikhil Bora has been announced that he's going to be joining the Trident team for 2023. He moves up from F4. He did some Italian F4 races last year with a best result of 4th at Red Bull Ring. He's racing over in the Middle East, George, where he's already taken a win there with RHGP. So a good start for him. He's getting used to the car pretty quickly as well. Over at Trident, who prove they can get drivers up to speed pretty quickly, of course, rookie champion with Leonardo Fornaroli last year.
Yeah, I think Trident is a great place for him to be, especially as a rookie. They had 3 rookies, I think, last year with Fornaroli, Tramnitz, and Belinsky finishing that team, I believe. And yeah, they had a great rookie year ultimately, or a good year with the rookies. So I think for him to move into that squad as another rookie, it's a great place to be for him. And with a win already, although that was in a reverse grid race. A win is a win. You can never argue with it, and it's exactly again how you'd hope to start the year.
Yeah, 5th in the championship as we speak. They go to Kuwait this weekend. You can keep up to speed with everything across our social channels here on Feeder Series. We did have Red Bull and Ferrari Driver Academy make their junior team announcements. You can catch up to speed with that on our website. But Alex, while we have you here, we've got pretty much the grid now complete. I did just want to get your thoughts ahead of the season. I know we're still a few weeks away from getting going in Bahrain, but looking at the grid, we've got this mystery MP seat that's yet to be filled. But what do you make of it so far? What's your thoughts looking ahead of the season?
Not a very hard grid to sell, is what I would say. Talent absolutely everywhere. You can make a case for loads of drivers putting together championship campaigns. I think we're going to be pushing 12, 13, 14 winners. I think it's going to be outrageous. I can't wait. Usually, I don't even look at the grid until we get to, say, February. So everyone's got to experience me going, oh, yeah, they're decent. Yeah, they've got a lot of talent. Yeah, in real time. But that's usually what I think when I look at it. But it's got the potential to shape up to be a special season. Whoever is Dennis Hauger's teammate is going to be key, because that is going obviously in with the champion team. But I think I'm not going to make a prediction because it's impossible. It's going to be a well-won championship, whoever does it. I'd be surprised if it was a dominated championship, but I've been surprised before.
I mean, 9 rookies in there, possibly 10 as well. But rookies that are coming in with, some big results as well. Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah, with track records and with talent to get excited about, and I think we're going to see some outrageous racing. I think it was a season where Dragovic really had once he'd done the double in Spain, you felt that he broke the spirits of the rest of the field, and it was almost self-fulfilling. He got better, they got more dispirited, and it carried on like that all the way to the end. But lots to look forward to, and many drivers will fancy their chances of being champions.
And one of the other things to look forward to is, of course, the visit to Albert Park as well. What's your thoughts ahead of that one? That's going to be exciting, isn't it?
It's going to be fantastic. That race was already stacked with... It's just such a great event. They start on a Wednesday, for goodness sake. There's so much racing out there in Melbourne. And they're adding Formula 3 and Formula 2. That has got to be one of the best tickets in sport next year. Is a ticket to the Australian Grand Prix, because you've got the supercars, you've got loads of entertainment, you've got the young talent that George has described going to Formula 3. You've got half the field with something to prove, half the field in their rookie seasons with nothing to lose, in magnificently powerful cars. It's going to be great. That's going to be one of the highlights. That and Monaco is going to be the highlights of the season.
And George, very quickly, your thoughts ahead of the season. It's going to be great, isn't it? I mean, Alex has said most of it, but what's your thoughts?
I can't wait, honestly. I think I see it being the story of the rookies. I mean, 9 of them on the grid, potentially 10, as you said. But the talent that we saw in F3 last year, and with so many of those drivers moving up, I can't see it being anything short of an incredibly entertaining year. Yeah, to see all of those drivers go toe to toe again, and on a bigger stage, more power, incredible tracks as well. Don't want to miss the race.
Well, Alex Brundle said as well, a lot of the old guard moving on, isn't it? And a lot of new faces coming in. It's going to be an incredibly hard season to call. So I wouldn't even like to ask you both to call a winner, but do let us know in the comments below who you think is going to win the championship. Alex, thank you very much for taking the time out of your off season to join us, and I hope you have an amazing season once again with Formula One and Formula 2.
Thank you very much. Brilliant to be part of it. And it's good that you've kept us all up to date with the goings on and basically started my prep for the new season.
Well, keep up to date. Once again, we'll be back at the same time next week. George, thank you very much. I'm sure you'll be keeping us up to date on F4 UAE.
Of course, yeah. Going to be watching that season very closely. And it's busy. 2 rounds at Q8 in a week's time, back to back, like 3 days apart. It's going to be a busy one.
Thank you very much for joining. This has been Transfer Weekly. Myself, Chris McCarthy, Alex Jacques, George Brabner. Make sure you join us at the same time next week for episode 9 here on Feeder Series. For now, though, it's goodbye.